This is the indoor variation of the new Nike Phantom Vision. It has ACC technology, in case it rains. Indoors. What's going on, guys? Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the brand new Nike React Phantom Vision Pro in the indoor variation and the turf variation. This is the top of the line flat bottom variation in the new Phantom Vision line. No elite model as an indoor, at least as of yet, and it doesn't look like that's going to change in the near future either. So this does have an upper variation of what you'd find from the first takedown model in the Phantom Vision line, the Phantom Vision Pro, with some modifications, along with the incorporation of Nike's new React foam technology. And of course, I have it in the two versions, indoor and turf, of which we'll be taking a closer look at both. So if you want to learn more about these, including how they fit and feel on feet, we're going to go over all the details in today's video. If you are interested in a pair for yourself, I'll leave a pop-up on screen, or you can click the first link down below. That'll take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes. You'll be able to pick up either of these two boots below their normal $120 retail price. If you guys do end up enjoying the video, don't forget to support it with a like. And if you're new here watching for the first time, don't forget to hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. As Nike would say, just do it. So as you can see, the indoor and turf versions do look quite a bit different when it comes to the midsole, which we'll get into in just a second, but we're actually going to start with the upper, which is identical whether you go for indoor or turf. Now, if you regularly watch this channel, then you know that I'm personally a big fan of the new Nike Phantom Vision Elite, and a large reason as to why that is because of the unique upper construction utilizing their Flyknit technology and their new quad fit system, which work extremely well together. However, you do not have that option as an indoor or turf boot because they only make the Pro variation of the upper available, which does not feature Flyknit and does not have a quad fit system. However, it is still made out of two layers of material. A mesh top layer with a NikeSkin covering, basically a paper thin mesh with polyurethane over top, and then an internal system that is basically the same design as quad fit, but instead is just made out of a regular mesh and not the quad fit material, which makes for a completely different fit and feel. Either way, it's still a premium feeling upper, but certainly nothing like what you would get from the Elite model. In comparison to the Phantom Vision Pro boots, these are largely the same with a couple of minor modifications. The upper base and internal material is identical. It's thin, it's soft, because it's all mesh, there really isn't much to break in. I personally think that in the form of an indoor or a turf shoe, that the Phantom Vision design with the full lace cover is kind of a little bit goofy looking, but maybe that's just a personal opinion. And you can see throughout the entire upper, there's a very minor texturing, but for the most part, against the ball, it's gonna feel completely smooth with the exposed mesh here across the top of the foot. Moving to the edges of the forefoot area, even around the toe, you can see they have added some extra texturing, something you would not find on the football boot variation of the Phantom Vision Pro. And then of course the triangle in the midfoot, where there always is significant texture, they've actually dumbed that down on the indoor and turf version for whatever reason. It's still relatively grippy, but definitely not as rough as what you would find on the actual football boots. But unlike the football boots, these do have Nike's ACC technology, which is invisible and useless because these are indoor boots. Contrary to what a lot of people seem to believe, because you can't really see the laces on these boots, they do in fact have a lacing system utilizing Ghost Laces technology, which is basically just laces under a lace cover. It's not really technology at all. It's just marketing hype by Nike, but what else is new? Either way, what you're gonna have internally, and it's very difficult for me to show you because it's all black inside, is basically these long nylon lace loops that run the length of the midfoot on either side. There's only 3 lacing positions, so it's a relatively small lacing system, but basically pull on the ends of the laces that of course do come out the top of the lace cover, and it tightens the midfoot, locks your heel in place, and actually provides a lot more lockdown and security than you might expect from such a small lacing system. And my advice would be, if you plan on buying these or any of the other Phantom Vision models, is use the laces because they are there for a reason. Moving to the rear, you can see that this does maintain the same low cut construction that you'd find from all the Phantom Vision variations, but of course with the collar that extends for basically no reason at all. It is directly attached to the internal structure, but adds no structure. And it's made from this very soft material. They don't really specify whether or not it's Flyknit on the Pros, even though it feels exactly like the Elite collar, which is in fact made out of Flyknit. So I'm going to assume that it is Flyknit. It doesn't really matter. It's such a soft collar, unlike a lot of the other collars we've seen from Nike. Once the boots are actually on your feet, you do not notice it at all. There's no ankle support, there's no structure. It's simply there for the sake of looks. And for whatever reason, they do add a pull tab on the back, which I not only think looks cool, I actually do appreciate this when it comes to actually putting them on as well. You'll find that the boots also feature an internal plastic heel counter and a standard synthetic suede lining material, just as you'd find on the regular Phantom Vision Pro. The insoles are fully removable, feature a mesh liner on top, Volt Yellow in color of course, and then this Ortholite style foam. It's relatively thin, decent quality cushion I would say, but nothing out of the ordinary as far as insoles go. React foam itself from Nike is still a relatively new technology, first introduced on the very popular Epic React running shoes, and it's essentially an evolution of the Lunar Lawn cushion that we've seen on a lot of indoor models over the last couple of years. You can see on the indoor variation, it's got some decent thickness to it. If you like being super close to the ground, these aren't necessarily going to provide that type of sensation, but they're still relatively low profile, and the amount of bounce I would say that you get from this particular midsole is different than any of the Lunar cushion setups that we've seen in the past from Nike's indoor line. I really do like the way that this feels, and I would say that this is probably their best ever cushion setup on a pair of indoors if you like having more significant underfoot cushioning. You're also going to notice that around the lip area, the forefoot and toe box area, it does have a rubberized lip for the sake of durability, basically in the high wear zone where the upper attaches to the outsole. Then you can see also through the midfoot area, basically lining up with the triangle graphic, they have added rubber along that as well, which again is going to enhance the overall durability. And then the Turf version, as you can see, does not have any exposed React foam on the outside, but I can assure you that it's still there. Instead, you can see that it does have a rubberized lip basically going all the way around, mainly because turf is going to be a much more abrasive surface, so they need that extra lip for the sake of durability, lip around the forefoot and toe box area as well, but pretty straightforward in regards to what you can see on the outside. As far as outsoles go, this is the new indoor outsole for the Phantom Vision lineup, and as you can see, it features that three-sided shape that you also see mimicked in the texturing in the triangle in the form of a traction pattern. That is honestly very, very dense in regards to how it's all put together. There's really not a lot of flex in all of these little cutouts, which is great for the sake of durability. It's a very kind of dense rubber outsole, but not amazing in regards to overall traction on an indoor court that has any kind of dust on it. I found that this does clog up pretty easily, and I was constantly having to wipe the bottom with my hand just to allow for proper traction. But if I'm being honest, that's kind of the case with 95% of indoors out there. So you get a little bit of a trade-off, less traction for better durability. But if you do want to use these on concrete, the traction is actually really good and they hold up as well, which is nice. And then of course you can see in this gray area, it does have basically more heavy texturing, again in the form of that three-sided shape, but that's an area where traction isn't really going to be affected. That's more of a cosmetic thing than anything. And then as far as the Turf version is concerned, it features that three-sided shape in the form of all these nubs running along the bottom. And based on all the Turf shoes that I've tried over the years, I find that they pretty much all feel about the same in regards to overall traction. So there's nothing about this pattern that's going to stand out. You get good traction on turf if you wear them on turf, and you can see through the gray area, it does have a little bit of texturing that's a little bit less significant than the black parts, but either way it does work well. And there does seem to be a lot of confusion about turf shoes in general. This is a shoe that is more specifically designed for the turf that's more of a rough carpet material with no rubber pellets or very little rubber pellets, basically very shallow artificial grass. But if you did want to use these on a deeper artificial grass field with a lot of rubber pellets, you can definitely do that as well, but they won't provide the same aggressive traction as an AG stud pattern would provide. Still gets the job done, and if you're playing on turf, this is really ideal. And then finally, when it comes to weight, there is a pretty significant difference between these two. In a size 9.5 US, the indoor version weighs in at about 10 ounces, which is kind of on par with most high-end indoor models from Nike and other brands as well, where the Turf version in a size 9.5 US weighs in at 11.5 ounces, 1.5 ounces more than the indoor variation, which seems a little bit strange, but given that this is a turf shoe with a lot more rubber and the style of rubber is more heavy duty as well, that adds a significant amount of weight. And you definitely will notice that both in hand as well as when the boot boots are on your feet. But that really shouldn't be the deciding factor between the two, because they're basically made for two different surfaces. If you play indoors, you'll probably be okay with these, and if you play on turf, they're not the lightest turf shoes you can buy, but I wouldn't say that they're overly heavy either. On feet, both variations feel pretty good. The one difference that you will notice if you're comparing the indoors and the turfs is that the indoor version is slightly higher off the ground because there is more React foam underneath your feet, because you're going to be playing on an indoor court that doesn't really have any padding to it at all. So all the padding has to come from the boots that you're wearing, which there is an adequate amount of padding, to say the least. They feel really good, they're stable, they're bouncy. It's a really nice underfoot cushioning setup, where the turf version definitely has that little bit of extra React foam in the heel and midfoot, but the forefoot area in general is kind of more just straightforward rubber, mainly because you don't need a lot of extra cushion because the turf surface that you're playing on already has that built in. As far as the fit of both shoes is concerned, it's pretty much identical, and it feels a lot like what you get from the FG variation of the Phantom Vision Pro. It's all mesh-based upper, so it's very soft, very flexible. There's really not too much to break in. The heel has a little bit of stiffness to it, but again, that's just something that you get used to with any brand new pair of boots. And for the most part, there's not too much to complain about here. They feel pretty comfortable out of the box. As far as width is concerned, neither of them is really narrow. The Phantom Vision as a whole, I would say, is a wider fitting boot in general, but the Pro specifically, I would say, does have the tightest fit out of all the Phantom Vision tiers, the Elite and the Academy being the two that I'm talking about as other options. But really, I still think that these will fit most people. I wouldn't expect too much stretch out of the upper. And given the way that the upper is designed, I could see that if you did have really wide feet, maybe putting these on and taking them off could be a bit of a struggle. But for most people, width-wise, I think you'll be okay as long as you don't have excessively wide feet. And then as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is pretty much perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair for yourself, I would recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So in conclusion, I wouldn't really say that there's anything groundbreaking about these. I like them, they're definitely good. My favorite aspect being the cushioning setup. I really do like the React foam. It's probably the best cushioning setup we've ever seen from Nike on a pair of indoor or turf boots, at least based on what I've tried. But as far as the upper is concerned, when I wear these, I can't help but feel that they're just not the Elites. The quad fit and the Flyknit, I just think feels so much better than what the Pro variation has on offer. But that's not to say that these feel bad at all. If you have the Phantom Vision Elites, if you have the Phantom Vision Pros, you're really going to like this because it's going to be familiar to you to a certain extent. And from a value standpoint, the fact that these retail for $120 rather than $150, which is what you would end up paying for the FG variation of the Phantom Vision Pro, it's actually not a bad deal at all considering what you get. So as a whole, it's a solid package, but are they my new favorite indoors? Definitely not. And that's pretty much it for my review, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. If you're interested in either of these for yourself, again, you can click the first link down below. That'll take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $120 retail price. If you have any questions, as always, leave them down below in the comments, and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you as soon as I possibly can. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.